3, 2, 1. Good evening, everyone. This is Pastor Maureen from Living Today. It's so exciting to be alive on a wonderful day like this. And this is the spring weather. I am so happy to be here this evening, and I am excited because I have the most amazing guest with me. And I cannot wait for you to hear her story on today. It's a privilege and an honor to not only have the star and the creator of the Read with Carylee show on her YouTube channel. And I know her a lot more personally than most of you do, and I will hold that until later. But I just want to welcome my wonderful and fabulous guest, Miss Carylee Carrington.
Thank you so much for having me, Maureen.
It is a pleasure to have you. I'm excited because I've been watching you for the past year. And we all know what this year has been, and not the past year has been, which we were all under lockdown. We were all running a little bit terrified to see who was going to live and who would survive. And yet here we are on this beautiful spring day because this fantastic individual over here decided that no matter what was happening, she was going to take life by the horn and launch out, take a leap out into the deep, take a leap off the mountain and just fly. And it's been an amazing time and year to watch her. So I want to start off because we have a lot to talk about. So I want to start off knowing that you were a married woman and you are not in the current situation that you're going through a process of separation.
Yes.
And so I wanted to speak about this topic. And as you see, I'm wearing our t-shirt, Broken to be Blessed, because every time I have someone on the show who has an amazing story from a brokenness to a blessing, I am encouraging everyone out there that their life does not end in brokenness.
Absolutely not. No.
It does not end in brokenness because part of our brokenness is to step into our blessing. And so I wanted to speak to you this evening from that broken state to know that you had a fabulous wedding and a marriage.
Yes.
And 2 beautiful boys that came out of it.
Yes.
And yet at some point, the fairy tale became not a fairy tale anymore.
And that's correct. And, when you were just talking about the brokenness, and it just took me back to Tremaine, the song by Tremaine Hawkins that my mother actually used to sing.
Yes.
The potter wants to put you back together again.
Wow.
And I think that is really, really where my story evolved, not just began, but evolved. As you said, I was married for almost 8 years before we decided to go our separate ways. And it's easy to fall into that broken state.
Absolutely.
It's easy to just say, okay, all right, especially for women. All right, my marriage is done. My family is broken. I'm just broken, and that's just how I'm going to live my life.
It's easy.
It's easy. I would say that the broken state happened a little while after the wedding, and it was, of course, I am a product of my parents didn't divorce. You know, my mom actually passed last year.
Yes.
And my parents were married for almost
40, somewhere around there.
years. And I grew up in the church. I was against divorce. That was the last thing that I wanted for myself, for my marriage, for my family. I'm the only person in my family to get divorced. And, you know, the stigma, especially, you know, within the church
that you keep the union together.
Exactly.
No
No
matter
matter what. And within the Caribbean culture is that we do that.
Yes.
You fight for your marriage.
Yes.
You do everything that you're supposed to do. And I did that.
Okay.
You know, but when you can't do that anymore.
Okay.
You know, when you are on your knees and honestly, I would say that God does not put you in a situation and he's not going to try to bring you out of that situation without there being a message.
Absolutely.
And for me, you know, when I decided that, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't put myself in that situation. I can't keep living that situation because I knew that God had more for me.
Exactly. So I want to ask you, at what point and what happened for you to make that decision? Because I know the idea that when you went into marriage or when you went into a union, it was never to separate.
Exactly.
And you did not expect it to break.
Exactly.
And so at what point in the breaking point, at what point did you realize that this was not going to be working for you?
Like I said, you know, I saw things early on, and being that I am someone that did not believe in divorce, if you have someone that knows that, you know, they may try to take that and use that to their advantage.
Okay.
And when I realized that that was the case, I, you know, even with having my children, I could not allow my children to continue to see me in that broken state.
Okay. And so if you don't mind me asking, what is one of the broken state that you found yourself in that you knew did not represent you at all?
Well, I am, as you can see, I'm an outgoing person. I'm a bubbly person. I grew up in New York. You know, I grew up in the church. I was just about everything in the church.
Yes.
And, you know, people knew me, and I kind of retreated into this introvert that people did not recognize. I did not recognize. And, you know, my soon-to-be ex-husband is someone that's in the military.
Yes.
So I guess that trying to make things work and knowing that, okay, he has a position that he needs to fulfill for the military, but at the same time, you have a position that you need to fulfill at home.
Yes.
You know, you have vows that you took before the Lord. You have promises that you made before the Lord.
Yes.
And those weren't being fulfilled.
Okay.
So I saw myself doing and doing and doing and doing. And I was basically being belittled, talked down to, and that bubbly personality, that was gone.
So can I tap into, because there's a part that makes you bubbly. Yeah. There's a part that you know intrinsically. Yeah. This is you. This is Carylee, right? And then what would you say? Would it be because you're trying to keep peace that you decided, okay, I have to now hide this part away. This part cannot show up so much anymore. And then if I do this, if I do that, then this is going to tamper into this area of the relationship. So while it's trying to make a compromise, but was the compromise working?
No, the compromise was not working.
Because and this is what I want to also address, because in unions, it is not just to have one grow, it's for both parties to grow.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you shouldn't have to take anything away from yourself in order, what would I say? Your light shouldn't have to dim.
Exactly. You know what? Like, I'm a big follower of Lisa Nichols as well. And
Yes.
she said, you know, if you can't stand my light, you need to put on some shade.
That's right.
You know, and honestly, it's, for me, it was the partnership.
Yes.
The team. I was working for the team.
Yes.
And,
You were the-
you know, I can't be the only one. I'm not Jordan. You can't be the only
pulling
one,
for the
and
team.
Everyone else is riding the bench.
Exactly.
That can't happen, especially in a marriage. And, you know, I found myself broken. I found myself nearing depression.
Yes.
And like I said, I have 2 little boys, and I could not have them continue to see that, because one of the things that I said was I did not want my boys to think that it was okay for them to treat someone else's child the way that I was treated.
Okay. So as you were, and I'm not going to say nearing depression, because if you're nearing depression, that means you have touched it.
Yes. Yes,
And so what were some of the signals that made you become aware?
Well, there were times that, you know, I would go to bed crying every night. I would go to bed crying every night, trying to see exactly what was going on. I was blaming myself for situations that were going on that had nothing to do with me, you know. And I am a big supporter of therapy.
Yes.
We went to therapy, and, you know, things would get better, and then we would stop,
Right.
go to therapy, and then, you know,
just
it would start
regressed.
again. Yeah, so, you know, one of the things that I said, you know, okay, I know myself. I've worked through what I needed to work through. Okay. It was, you know, basically on him to go and work out what he needed to work.
And I am a big proponent of this saying that we cannot change anyone else
Yes,
but ourselves.
exactly.
And so if you get to this point where you realize that you've gone through therapy, you've done all these things, and there's nothing you can do anymore. So at what point now do you realize that this is not working? This union is not working. And in order to save Carylee had to make a decision.
Well, it wasn't even so much that I wanted to save Carylee. It was when I saw that it was affecting my children.
I got you.
And that was something that, you know,
So it's like what you wouldn't do for yourself, you
Exactly.
would do for them.
Yes, you know, when I became a mother, they were my
Priority.
priority. That was it. I was blessed with them.
Yes.
And I had to show them what needed to be done. You know, I had to show them the right way. Because like I said, I would not want them to feel that it's okay to do that to someone else's child.
I hear that.
Yeah.
So you're in this broken state, and yet there is a blessing
Yes.
bubbling over in there. There is a blessing coming, but even through the pain, you realize that there are still things out there for you to do, that this is not the end of your life. And even at the point where you realize that this union and this part of this journey with this person is coming to an end, as painful as it might be to make that form of decision, that there's something else in you, inside of you, that needed to burst forth.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I wanted to ask you, in terms of your writing,
Yes.
that when did you start writing?
Well, I've been writing basically all my life. I've been writing poetry since I was about 9 years old. I've written short stories, plays, and I kind of, with everything that was going on, with trying to be that dutiful wife, I put all of that aside because I needed to. I thought that that was just my childhood passion.
Yes.
And I needed to put that to bed and be a grown-up.
Okay. And a grown-up is saying that I needed to be a dutiful wife and an attentive mother and put my dreams aside. Yet you came to realize that in order for you to be fulfilled and to really truly live your purpose, it is your dream.
Yes.
That is so much a part of you that you needed.
Yes, absolutely. And I started because, like I said, I knew that God had more for me. So I really started to be intentional in what I did.
Okay.
And I started, I said, I'm a product of the church. I'm a Christian. What I'm supposed to do is serve. And Pastor Thomas, I don't know if
that's the correct title anymore. He has changed many garments since, but it's okay.
But I remember he said to me prior to me getting married that I needed to stop running away from what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's one of the things that echoed in my mind, like, okay, I'm running away from service. I'm running away from what I'm supposed to be doing. So I started being intentional. I started praying. I said, God, I know that you have more for me.
Yes.
What am I supposed to be doing?
Yes.
And I started doing different things, to really open myself to be of service. And then my son came to me one day. He was in kindergarten, 5 years old.
Okay.
And he told me a classmate told the playground that he should play with children of his own skin color. And that took me back. I was like, okay, he's 5 years old. Our family is mixed. I said to him, okay, all right, well, Grandma, what color do you think Grandma is? And he said peach.
They do peach and brown. Peach, yes.
And I said, what color am I? And he said brown. And I said, okay, well, she's my mother. She's your grandmother.
Yes.
So if we can all be in the same family, we can all play together.
Yes.
So I started thinking about it. And I was just like, okay, this was really bothering me and being on my mind. And it wasn't enough for me to solve that problem for him.
Wow.
I thought about it and I said, what are other children learning? And this was in the height of, I guess the first surge of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, there's a lot of white supremacy that's going on. There's, Black Lives Matter. What are these children being told at home? Because if this little boy is coming to my
this
son,
5-year-old,
this 5-year-old
baby,
yes, is coming to my son and saying, okay, you should only be playing with children of your own race. Then what are other children hearing? What are other children being taught? And
so it sparked you.
Yes. And I woke up one night and that book came out, Everyone Just Like Me.
Everyone just like me.
Yes.
Everyone just like me.
Yes.
And this is, I remember when you started because, and this is why I'm so excited for you to be here. Because when you started, it was a text request saying, I'm writing a book and I need some support and the amount and everything like that. And I've said, okay. And I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited and I finally got my copy. And the beautiful thing is, I opened the book and the character's name is Joshua. And so I have my nephew that, we do our conversations at night, and the book came and I'm reading it. So he thinks now, you have written a book
About him.
yes, about him. And so I was so excited. So here is the front cover of Everyone Just Like Me.
Yes.
And if you could just tell us what the book is all about.
Yes. So Joshua is a child that feels that he had to get glasses. And coincidentally, our glasses kind of match. But he had to get glasses, and he felt that everyone would make fun of him. So he didn't want children to make fun of him, his classmates to make fun of him. So he wished on a star that everyone would be the same. And he goes through a few days of seeing why it is that it's kind of boring, or it's not such a good thing for everyone to be the same.
The same.
Exactly. So, it's just him going through a few days and seeing that it's great to be different. Special, and unique.
That's right. And I think this is your process. This is your emerging.
Exactly.
This is your emerging out of your broken state. Because then all of a sudden, here you are. All of a sudden, I am seeing you're in classrooms. And I want you to share with us exactly what that experience was.
Well, being that I was in that broken state, I
Yes.
had become that now introvert. Going in front of a classroom full of first, second, third graders, it terrified me.
Wow.
It absolutely terrified me. And I would say I got my energy from them. I got that, I went to these classrooms to do author visits, and I had teachers running up to me saying, oh, my student wanted to make sure that you saw what they were doing and that they wanted to write a book too. And they were talking about how it is important for us to be different, special, and unique. So I sat there and I was just like, oh my gosh,
Did you see the change in the children's response in reading the book? Because I've seen some of your clips and they were diverse classrooms. And that was the beauty, that just the way negative things can be plugged into them, that a book with just simple words and illustration can bring them back to the heart of what humanity is all about. And you wrote that book.
Yeah, and that, it really, writing that book sparked a lot.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
There has been a whole new shift and a whole new journey that I have been going on since writing this book. And the inspiration, coming from my son, and then going into now what has morphed into with Carylee.
I could not wait to put this skirt on. I said, she is coming.
Yes.
I am pulling out my skirt because you know what? It is the childlike essence, because you started with the essence of a child, and importantly enough, that it pulled you back. It pulled that life back into you. And even as the Word of God says, if you do not become like a little child, you cannot experience the kingdom of God. You cannot experience, and the kingdom of God means happiness. It means freedom. It means liberty. And so here we are. Yeah. Here we are emerging.
And I think it's such a blessing to be able to, because like I said, I started wanting to be intentional in
Yes.
saying, okay, God, what will you have me to do? And for him to put me in front of children. This is not just, okay, well, yeah, I'm doing this show and I'm dressing up in tutus and having fun with kids. No, this is a ministry.
It is an intentional ministry.
Yes. My mother was the superintendent for children's ministries in our church.
Yes, she
for
was.
So many years.
Yes, she was.
And she was an educator as her career. And this actually brought us so much closer together. And in her passing, I'm just like, there are days that I don't want to put on the tutu. There are days that I'm just like, okay, there's just so much going on. But having that connection and knowing that this is not just a part of my legacy. This is not just something that I'm passing down to my children,
Yes.
but this is something that she started because she was a literacy coach.
She was.
And, I feel that she's basically passed the torch on to me.
Absolutely.
To basically go ahead with that, because in my town, I'm called the accidental author. And, I said that to someone that was doing a piece on me. And I said, I didn't intend on doing this. My career is in marketing.
Yes.
I'm a marketing manager. I did not think that I was going to go and be the host of a YouTube show.
So how did that begin?
Well, going and seeing the reaction to children when I did the author visits, and I'm a self-published author. This book actually, when it came out, I said to my mom, okay, what do you think? And she said, oh, you should publish it. And I said, okay, well, I don't want it to go and sit on somebody's shelf.
Right.
So she said, self-publish. And I looked it up, and I went ahead and did the process, and I started getting emails and text messages from people that said, oh, okay, well, this person is a self-published author. You should, reach out to them. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know any of these people, but they were all in my community. They were all in my county. And so I said, if I'm getting this reaction from children when I'm doing their author visits, all of these people that are in my community, they should be getting this
the same exposure.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, it basically goes back to service.
Yes.
So I looked at it and I said, most of these authors, just like me, if we're going to go and do an author visit, most likely we're going to have to take time off work and, trying to juggle that. So I wanted to find a platform.
Wow.
So that these authors that were all in my county and in Virginia and the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, they're all out there. So I'm wanting to do this project. If you want to be involved, let me know. I got flooded.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know all of you were out there.
Yes.
There were some people that I was already connected to.
Wow,
and
wow,
I didn't
wow.
even know that they were authors.
Yes.
So I said, okay, all right. Let's see what we can do. I contacted a local coffee shop that I knew that they had some technology that they were looking into for having people just come in and use their technology to do, a YouTube show or
Hosting,
something.
yes.
So I called up the owner who was a member of my church, and he said, yeah, let's do it. And that's how the Read with Carylee show started. And a lot of people have called it the next reading rainbow.
Because it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
And I like I said, we started in that coffee shop, and we started in November of 2019, and we had so many authors coming. We had such an overwhelming response. And then COVID hit.
And COVID. And the famous word, COVID, that we're all familiar with.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how old you are. COVID hit.
Yes. So COVID hit, and we said, okay, so, well, we can't have people come in anymore. We had a studio audience of children.
Yes.
We couldn't have those children come and join the authors anymore. So we had to stop.
Yes.
It's a good thing we had, shows for the rest of the month.
Okay.
And then the wheels started turning. And even though that was around the same time that my mother passed, I said, you know what, this is something that is needed. She would want me to do it. She was actually at the first taping of the year.
Oh, praise
so
God.
I said, I have to go. I have to keep
You
going.
have to continue.
And I reached out again and started getting authors from all around the world.
And I saw that.
Yes.
And this is the beautiful thing, that one thing led to another, because then when one door is closing, another door is opening.
Yes.
And here it is that you continued, and in the door closing, opportunities from all over the world. I saw authors from Australia.
Yes.
And from where else?
We've had an author from Uganda. I have authors from England.
Yes.
From Canada, from all across the United States. And right now we have been on 4 continents.
Praise God.
Not just different countries, and I'm hoping to actually get, the author that was from Uganda, she lives in Uganda now. And she wrote a story about her time while she was a nanny in Paris.
Right.
But she's actually from Jamaica.
Look at that.
So I said, you know what?
Look
Yes,
at that.
we tie it all in
Together.
And it's been such a great opportunity to not only speak with these authors, but promote them. And it's taken on even more. It's taken on so much more meaning, because these authors, they would be otherwise, they
would be anonymous.
Yes, and they would try to, sell their books on YouTube.
Yes.
Well, on Instagram or
Right.
Facebook, and try to build their following that way. But there really was not
A platform for them.
Yes.
And
And since Reading Rainbow is not coming back.
there's Read with Carylee.
Yes.
There is Read with Carylee.
There is opportunity at every end.
And so, because I wanted to tap in on, to let everyone know, and they want you to use your microphone a little bit so everyone can hear you. Tell everyone where we can find you.
Well, you can find me at readwithcarylee.com. And you can find all of my information there. You can connect to me through my YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Yes.
And we're on TikTok a little bit. But, we're doing so much more now. And I think I can say now.
Yes.
We are actually starting the Read with Carylee nonprofit.
Wow.
And that is going to be able to help for the diversification of children's bookshelves. Because that's really one of the passions that has come out of this.
And so I know you have been pushing for diversity
Yes.
in the terms of authors in the marketplace. And so if you can speak towards that, because I know some of us sometimes feel limited.
Yes.
And we don't feel as if we have an avenue to of support and how to go about being published, you know, because then we really don't sometimes have people that we can talk to. And for you who have literally started from just a passion and scratch and done your own research and magnified it to create your own platform and supporting others to join you on that platform, I wanted to talk about what your interest was in terms of diversity in that area.
Yes, well, you know, this is 2021.
Yes.
And it's looking up the statistics and doing my research and seeing that still in 2021 that the majority of books, well, for books with children of color, Black children, there still is only about 12%
Wow.
of books that are published with Black and brown characters. And you see,
Wow.
you know, you see things going on in the world and you kind of squint and try to see, okay, well, why is this still going on in 2021? It's because we don't have books that normalize Black lives,
Exactly.
brown lives. I had an author on the show, Jennifer Roberts, and she wrote a book just about a Black family. A Black family with a mom, dad. It was narrated by the daughter. She had a brother and she had a dog.
That's it.
And I was like, wow.
That's normal. That's normal enough.
That was surprising to me.
And
You know, and I said, okay, this is something that we need to normalize because
we live that life.
Exactly.
We live that life. We do not live a stereotypical life that is shown in movies and that is shown almost anywhere. So we live these lives and
when
we need to believe that and see that too.
Exactly. We need
That
to
we
see
don't
that.
have to defend.
Exactly.
We do not need to defend the scope of our lives anywhere.
Yeah, we need to see that. Other children need to see that.
Yes.
And when they see that, they don't buy into the stereotypes that have been, you know, perpetrated in some movies and shows. And when you, like, if you see someone in normalcy,
Yes.
oh, they have a dog.
Yeah,
I
I have a dog.
Yeah.
What's
So,
and it makes
no
us
big deal.
normal.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to talk about pretty hair
Yeah.
because we can't get more diverse than this to bring us back into normalcy. So what made you
well,
write this book?
Well, you know, part of it is my own hair journey. You know, and I have, I have a total of 4 nieces, but I have 2 nieces that, you know, they have
Mixed?
Yes.
Yes.
They have very curly hair.
Yes.
And of course, they're growing up in Northern Virginia, and they've faced the questions of, oh, you know, they want their hair straight, they want their hair blonde, they want their hair, you know, however. And it wasn't until they became teenagers that they actually started to embrace
And appreciate.
yes.
Yes.
And, you know, and their hair, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
But-
my coils are, you know, a little bit tighter, and theirs are a little bit more loose. And I'm just like, you know, I had one niece that she took a scissor to her hair.
Wow.
Because she wanted it to be like, you know, her friends. And of course, so many African American women, they go through the transition of naturals, you know,
Yes.
and chemically processed and everything. And I originally started writing Pretty Hair as a nod and kind of a love letter to young Black girls.
That's right.
And I actually started pretty here before I started Everyone Just Like
Wow. Wow.
Me. And when I wrote Everyone Just Like Me, and I kind of took on the platform of embracing differences, I said, you know what? No, I want this to be something that unifies rather than
Separate.
yeah. And say, okay, well, oh, black girl's hair is beautiful. No, everyone's hair is beautiful. So I wrote the book, and it's basically kind of a miscommunication that happens between the two lead characters.
Okay.
And after I wrote the book,
Yes.
and some of my Caucasian friends read it, they were just like, oh my gosh, that's how I felt about my hair. And,
Wow.
And I had one friend that even said she sat behind an African American girl for most of her class. Like, they were in the same classes, I think from the fifth to the 8th grade. And she used to sit behind her all the time, and she would love her hair.
Wow.
And it was kind of like,
Really?
so you want your hair like
hers, and we want
our hair
like yours.
So it's just, you don't really understand, and you don't really know where someone's coming from unless you sit down and speak to them.
Yes.
So this, little miscommunication that goes on with the girls, at the end, they're able to see that, okay, it's
There's
not
beauty.
just my hair that's pretty. Your hair is
There's
pretty too.
beauty.
You have different things about you
Yes.
that makes you
Unique
special
and special.
unique and
Exactly.
Yes. So that's really the theme of both books.
Because what was amazing was I saw a beautiful blonde girl, and she sent like a message to you, and she had her pretty hair book.
Yes.
And I said, wow, look at this. And a time where society would want to divide us, that you have done something so marvelous and so spectacular to put, as you said, you create your own ministry and to bring diversity in a unifying space that in the hearts of children, that they do not get muddied with life's problems, that really, if we take it one step at a time, should not be a problem whatsoever.
Exactly.
And so I wanted to now look, I wanted to tell you just how I admire your journey, because we're sitting here today, and yesterday was the anniversary of your mom's passing. And I know how much she's been an inspiration to you and to many, and for her legacy to live on through you. And yet, who would have thought that in your broken place, and this is what we're sitting here today, because we want to embrace women. And not just women, embrace all to say that you don't need to stay in your brokenness, because the broken place was just there for you to come to a stop and a pause to realize, like, wait a minute, it's either there's a fork in the road and I need to make a decision. And so even coming back to that, I wanted to now ask you personally, how do you think Miss Mac would feel about you sitting here today and what you've accomplished? She knew the journey you started on, but oh, wow, what an amazing journey it's been since she's...
Well, I would say the past 365 days have been the craziest of my life, but crazy in such a good way. I have been able to take this this dream.
Yes.
This, I never, I could never have imagined that I would be where I am today. You know, being on the news, having people call me up to do different podcasts and things like that.
And being on the Today Show.
Yes. And it has been, you know, a whirlwind of a year, and I often say that she knew what I started, and I don't think she knew where I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. And before she passed, maybe about a month before she passed, I said something to her that I thought was totally ridiculous.
What is that?
You know, I'm not going to say it just yet, but it was something that I said, okay, Mommy, I'm going to do this. And when it came out of my mouth, I was just like, what?
What? Did I just say that?
Who do you think you are?
And
she said, yes. She said, yes, I see it.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's like every time that, you know, the anniversary of her death, Mother's Day, I had to just stop and it's, you know, kind of talking to her and talking to myself. And I said, no, you're going to allow me to mourn you. Because Mother's Day weekend, I was on 3 different news broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just like, wow, how did I get here? How did this little girl from Jamaica, you know, I'm supposed to be going through the hardest time of my life, you know, going through a divorce, losing my mother, and having to basically raise 2 boys on my own through a pandemic.
Yes.
And there's just been blessing upon blessing upon blessing. And I sometimes, you know, think that people are going to get sick of me because I'm like, okay, every time something happens, I'm like, okay, all right.
Here we go all.
Hey, hi, guys. I'm going to be on the stage show. I'm going to be on this show. But I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to shut up about it.
You cannot.
Because this is my testimony.
Yes, it is.
This is my testimony. And if I was to shut up about it, then my blessings would stop.
Yes.
My blessings would absolutely stop because my aim and my purpose is to show God's greatness through everything that I do.
That's right.
And God's not going to put me on a hill or put me on a platform for
Yes.
me just to be silent. And I know that there may be people that would be like, okay, all right, can you just calm down? Can you shut up a little bit?
No, I won't. Because you know what? When you were broken, you were silent long enough. Huh?
Yes.
And so I wanted to ask you this other question about her. Even in her passing, do you think it strengthened you?
Yes. I would say
How?
yes. It strengthened me. And, you know, like I said, even in the pain, I basically had to come to the realization she was a minister, she was a wife, she was a mother, she was a teacher. She had just retired from teaching after about 40-something years.
Yes.
You know? And it was like my mother's aim, my mother's goal in life was to go to heaven.
That's right.
So I said, okay, all right. She did what she had to do.
Here.
You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She gave me her blessing for the things that she had to do. I'm her baby daughter.
Yes.
So she's just like, okay, all right, you're grown, you're good.
Go do.
Go and
Go.
fulfill.
Yes.
You know, you don't have to come to me and ask me, oh, Mommy, is this okay for me to do?
Just do it.
Yeah. So a part of it is, yes, I miss her, but she fulfilled her purpose.
Wow.
And now I have to fulfill mine.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And like I said, on the days that I don't want to get up, on the days that I don't want to put on
The tutu.
Are the days that I feel like, okay, I'm just being silly. Like, who are you?
Who are you to want to do great things?
Exactly.
Because those questions never go away.
Exactly.
And you have to answer them.
Yes. Yes.
And you have to put them out the door. And you have to put them out the door and get up to prove why it is important and necessary for you to think great things about yourself.
Absolutely. And, you touched on the point right there, and a lot of people walking through divorce, they would shut up and they would be silent. And even, I hear some people say, okay, well, you shouldn't say anything because, you have your boys, and I'm still walking through divorce.
Yes.
But you know what? If I was silent, then the next person that is going through the pain of it
will not know
that there is a light at the end.
And then there is a blessing
Yes.
at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, glory
and
to God.
You know what? Your broken pieces are going to come back together.
Say it again.
Your broken pieces are going to come back
Are
together.
going to come back together.
God is the potter.
That's right.
God is the potter, and you have to allow him to take you through
the process.
And you're gonna come out. You're gonna be fine.
I'm telling you, if you have not inspired me at any other point in your life for the past 365 days, I've been your champion going. Love, you go. I'm following in your footsteps. And let me tell you, I am following in your footsteps to be bold, to be courageous. When those little people come at the door to say, you go out there because I am putting you outside. This is Pastor Maureen, and we are speaking from a broken to be blessed situation with none other than Carylee Carrington from the Read with Carylee show. You can find her on her YouTube channel, Read with Carylee. And I am telling you, male, men, women, boy, girl, it doesn't matter who you are, but wherever you are out there in your brokenness, know that this is not the end for you. It is just the beginning. And God did not put us in any situation that he cannot pull us from. It is just giving you insight. He's just letting you know, listen, you now have to come to that decision and come to that place where you say, this is it. This is no more. I have learned my lesson. Thank you very much. And guess what? I cannot be silent. And the light that is placed on the inside of each and every one of us, he did not build it for it to go dim. So shine your light. Seek some help. Talk to someone. But get help, get assistance, get some prayers out there. We love you. This is Pastor Maureen from Living Today. And I am telling you that there is a blessing in your broken place, okay? And your broken place does not mean that you're stuck. It is just the signal to get moving again. So God bless you, Miss Carrie. It has been a plum-pleasing pleasure to have you, because this journey for you that God has in store, it is just the very beginning. And if you do not have 1 million fans already, let me tell you, I am your number one. So I just want to wish you the very best that God has to offer. And you already know it because you are already walking in it. So, Living Today family, Jerusalem family out there, we love you. We just want to have you stay encouraged because God has some great things in store for each and every one of you. And just remember that great things, if you're expecting great things, that God